Hey everybody, and welcome to this second update video. Now, I actually have to confess I am recording this audio post recording the video, if that makes sense. I was kind of talking along, so if it does seem a little bit weird sometimes, that's why. Just because the audio on the recording was not good. There was a loud buzzing noise. Which I know why now, but at the time I didn't realise. So there we are. Anyway, we're here today because I have another upgrade to my computer. If you remember the last video, I said how that was a few months back, and actually I never got around to posting that. And so as a result, I'm now kind of posting this video just afterwards, even though this is a lot more recent. So as you can probably tell by the box sitting there on the table, I have upgraded my graphics card. It's not the only thing I've upgraded. I upgraded my power supply as well, but I figured that was a little bit more boring than a graphics card, so I didn't actually record that. So the graphics card I've gone for is the Gigabyte Aorus GeForce RTX 2080 Super. Currently, well, before this, I purchased this card, I had a Gigabyte Gaming OC Black 1080 Ti. Some of you might be going, why are you upgrading? Because the 1080 Ti is pretty much the same as a 2080. And yeah, you would kind of be right, but there's actually a couple of reasons why I wanted to. First, I got a pretty decent deal on this. Yeah, it was expensive, a lot more so than I'll be able to sell my 1080 Ti for. But there were two main reasons why I wanted to upgrade. First one was the ray tracing, which when it first kind of came out and we spoke, or everyone talked about ray tracing, it was a bit of a, well, there wasn't really that much support for it, was there really, in games? So you didn't really see it that much. I think having watched some of the trailers at Gamescom, I'm a little bit coming around on it now. I can tell you from having used this card now, because it is installed in my computer as I currently record this, I can tell you that it does look pretty darn fantastic. I was playing Metro Exodus and it was really, really good. Some of the upcoming games, like Control and well, to be honest with you, the main one that got me was Minecraft. I just thought that looked so good, and I love Minecraft. But other things coming, Cyberpunk next year, a big one. I think that will look phenomenal. Watch Dogs, Watchdog Legion looks phenomenal. And it's set in London, England, so that's awesome as well. Anyway, so that was one of the main reasons, the ray tracing. The second one was noise levels. So I currently had as I said, the 1080 Ti, and it was a loud card, to be honest with you. A lot louder than I wanted it to be, considering it was a aftermarket card. It wasn't what you would call a premium card, which is what this one is. Generally, premium cards usually have a little bit more about them, either slightly better cooling solution, better RGB lighting, or whatever. But yeah, it kind of annoyed me recording a lot of videos, and I was kind of listening back to them, and there was just this loud fan noise in the background, and so I wanted something quieter, and this card is quieter, I can tell you that much. For those of you who don't know kind of the difference between reference card and aftermarket cards, reference cards are, so NVIDIA are the company who design these cards essentially. Then companies like Gigabyte, who do the Aorus here, or MSI or Asus, they put their own kind of custom cooling on. They also generally overclock the card a little bit as well, aftermarket, to make it a little bit faster. But on the whole, it's generally not that much faster than a reference. So reference usually have worse cooling. Here I am just moving the box. Don't know why. We do go through an unboxing, so we will have a look at everything inside it as well when we go through, and I'll talk you through that. But yeah, so reference cards generally have worse cooling as well, can be a bit noisier, all that type of thing. But this card is pretty quiet. It also appealed to me because it has a 4-year warranty on it, which is awesome. If it breaks within 4 years, then I can get it repaired or get a new one. That is really good for kind of peace of mind, especially when you spend that much money on something. It you want to, you want to be able to recoup. You want it to know it's going to last you, basically, and people don't give a 4-year warranty if they think their card's going to break down before that. So yeah, and I'd read some reviews and it said that this was a pretty quiet card, which, having used it, I was just playing Metro Exodus for like an hour earlier, full on everything. It was, pounding away and I couldn't even hear it. Honestly, it's so good. I mean, I may occasionally like pick it up, on the mic, because it's different when you're playing it with speakers and stuff like that, to recording on a microphone and doing stuff like that, but definitely 100% quieter. My old card would have been screaming. So yeah, it's a 2080 Super. The Super range came out recently. The 2080 Super is not the best value for money in any way, shape or form, and I really don't think I could recommend for most people to upgrade probably from a 1080 Ti to the 2080 Super. My scores on 3D Mark went up by about 1,000 points, which is great and all, but unless you have particular situations like with me having this channel, the ray tracing thing will look great for you guys to see, as well as me enjoying it, and also the quietness of it will be really, really good as well. So, those were big things for me. If I didn't have that, I'm not sure I would have upgraded, because the 1080 Ti is still a very, very good card. In fact, technically I've gone from an 11GB card to an 8GB card, but the 8GB is GDDR6 and not 5, which is better. So it does give me better performance, but the better for performance is maybe 10 frames or so per second, which is not probably worth the £200 difference in the cards. But those other features involved in it are well worth it to me. So that I'm just trying to justify to myself why I'm upgrading here, to be honest with you. So yeah, I think we're going to have a look around the back of the box now, and show you. It does interest me with this box, actually. Weirdly, it is an exceptionally good looking card. I think it's one of the best design looking cards you can get, and yet they didn't put it on the front of the box, which is a little weird. But then again, I guess most people don't just go in a shop and buy one of these for the looks. So you can kind of see it in the top left there. We'll take a closer look. It's got some really nice RGBs on it as well. You'll see that at the end of the video. I go through all the different cycles of it once it's installed. It's got its own custom cooling solution as well on there, which is working really well so far. It's near it has got like a semi-passive fan, so the fans don't even go when it's kind of generally just chugging along, so it's pretty silent. It has got technically 7 input ports. I think you can either have 3 HDMIs and 1 DisplayPort and a USB-C. USB-C is actually pretty rare nowadays, although I think you'll see it a lot more often coming in. Yeah, it's got USB-C, so you can have a configuration of 3 HDMI, 1 DisplayPort, or 3 DisplayPort, 1 HDMI, which, my God, if you need more than that, then God help you. That if you've got more than 4 monitors, then you're either doing VAR for the Premier League, or you're some sort of crazy flight or racing sim fanatic on there. But yeah, this card is what I call a chonker. It is massive. It really is. You'll see it when I take it out. It literally astounded me how big it was. But it's a 2.5 slot technically, so it's going to take up a fair whack. Especially if you're running a mini ATX or micro ATX, this card is not for you in any way, shape, or form. Here we are, just showing you the little kind of fan configuration. So it's got 2 larger fans and a slightly smaller one in the middle, which goes a different direction. That's supposed to help with the airflow. I'll take their word for it. It's pretty quiet. It's got really nice RGB on it, as I said, as well, which isn't necessarily a hugely important thing for me. My last graphics card didn't have any RGB apart from on the side, and that's fine. I mean, some people love RGB. I'm kind of on the fence about it in a way. I like it, but yeah, I'm not going to pay a fortune just to have it. It's also apparently got direct touch heat pipes, which, I mean, I think they all have that, to be honest with you. The actual like cooler on it, the heat pipes and everything are massive. You can tell it, you know, is what you call a premium device, basically a premium card on there as well. And my last card was a Gigabyte, and it gave me no problems. To be fair, before that I had so my last card, sorry, I just whacked my mic. My last card was a 1080 Ti Gigabyte, not the highest end one, the slightly lower end one, but it was nice. My problem with it was loud, basically, but it served me well, apart from some problems, possibly with like it cutting out, but I don't think that was the graphics card. I think that was my power supply, to be fair. So yeah, Gigabyte for me, yeah, do a good job. The Aorus is known as a pretty good line, up there with kind of Asus Strix, really. And yeah, before that I had a 1080, which was a what do you call it? A reference card. So it was Nvidia's like own design with a blower fan, and it was fine. Honestly, it was fine. The 1080 Ti was a big jump on the 1080 though. Way bigger than the 2080 is on the 1080 Ti, way bigger. In fact, the 2080 isn't a jump on a 1080 Ti apart from the RTX stuff. Before that, I had two 970s in SLI, which were MSI ones, and served me really well. So yeah, I think I've been fairly lucky. I haven't, touch wood, fingers crossed, haven't had a massive problem with components, apart from in the last video you saw with my all-in-one cooler. I have had some issues with that, but it's just the RGB stuff, so I'm not too worried about it overall. But yeah, it's a big card. It's a good looking card as well. I think we're gonna just come along here and open up the box a little bit while we do this. Apologies if the camera angle's a little bit weird. I couldn't quite see down the camera while we were kind of recording it. Hopefully you'll get to see it, and as we go through further you'll get to see it in the machine and stuff like that. It wasn't hard to install it. Installing a graphics card is dead simple. It really is just a case of like unplug the other one, plug the new one in, and then your computer will do the rest, basically. So inside you can see, you open up this box, you get this little envelope type thing here. You can see a little Aorus envelope. In there you just have all the little bump that you would normally get. So you can see there's the 4-year warranty. I just dropped the driver disc. God knows who uses those nowadays. Just download GeForce Experience and you're fine. It will just download your drivers for you. So that's the warranty thing, the registration card, which actually reminds me I need to do that. It tells you about the modes for the output. There's like a quick reference guide, which tells you a nice little kind of guide to the different like ports and things like that, even though they're not all on this card. But anyway, it's quite nice. And then when we take off the top one, you can see the card in there. It is a big boy. It's not much longer than my previous card, but boy oh boy is it fat. And honestly, it probably weighs a couple of kilos at least. It is super heavy, but it feels pretty sturdy. It feels quite nice. We're just taking off the kind of protective, I guess it's plastic, isn't it, that they use around this. It's just like the anti-static protector. We'll say, like, just as a word of advice, anybody who's playing around with or handling PC components, just make sure that you're grounded beforehand. You don't want static electricity to hit your computer parts. You can see my hands like a little bit shaking there because it's super heavy. Very fat, really nice design though, I think, to it. Very good looking card. Doing something a little bit different, which is nice. But you can see how fat that cooling is on there. It is very fat. And yeah, boy oh boy, it's heavy. This is the side, or we kind of turn it up here so you can see how it would look if it was in the machine. So you got a really nice metal back plate there as well, very very solid. Really nice, that kind of RGB logo there that will come up. On the side as well, the Aorus stuff lights up, and you can see all the kind of ports there. Again, apologies, my camera angling is terrible, so sorry, can't quite get that good a view of it on there. But the metal backplate is really nice, really good quality, adds a real solidness to it. The kind of cooling shroud, I guess, all the fans and everything are plastic, but they gotta be, because otherwise the weight of it would be ridiculous. You've already got this massive like metal like radiator on it, metal backplate. It's a heavy piece of kit, at least 3 times heavier than my 1080 Ti, I would say, which is all plastic. It doesn't even have a backplate actually, which was a bone of contention when buying that thing. But anyway, and yeah, nicely put together. Build quality feels really good on it actually, as you would expect. This is a premium card. You get a little sticker thing there, which I was just going straight in the bin. Yeah, as I said, it's a nice card. I was torn between possibly getting this card or the MSI Aero Trio, I think it was. In the end, I went for this one because I just thought it looked better, honestly. That was it, really. I didn't quite like the look of the MSI, even though MSI are a really good brand. As I said, I've had 2 of their graphics cards before, and they were really good quality. But this time I decided to give Gigabyte another go after using them. So yeah, I think at this point I was just checking to see if I missed anything out from the rest of the packaging. You can just see my computer just slightly in the background there already. Yeah, I was saying before about static. Just watch out for static. I'm lucky I've got wood floors, so it's not too much of an issue, to be honest with you. But yeah, you just showing you there. That little one down the bottom there, where the little orange cover is, that's for the NV link for SLI. SLI is, I don't want to say it's dead, but it's not really worth it for the gains you're getting nowadays. It used to be pretty good, but not quite so much anymore. You can see the fans. You've got the slightly smaller fan in the middle there, and then the larger fans. You might just be able to make out the little LEDs, just kind of pointing to them there on the fan blade as it goes round. It has so it has LEDs on the fans. They're not like you would see like on a desktop fan. You'll see it in a bit later. They kind of flash a little bit more, which you're either going to like or hate, I guess. I quite like it, so that's good because I brought the card. And you got the little logo there. I was considering maybe even getting like a vertical bracket to mount it, so it kind of showed up on the side. But I worry about like thermals with that, because you can have a problem with that. And my current case, you can just vaguely make out in the background, but you'll be able to see is an S340 Elite from NZXT, and it does struggle a little bit with cooling. Although I am doing a little custom job on the front of the case to try and help alleviate that, which I may well cover in a video going forward as well. It basically involves chopping holes in it, but trying to do it in a cool way. So yeah, really nice card, really well kind of put together, nicely built. It just see on the side there, I don't know, I think I pointed out at one point, it does take 2 8-pin power connectors to it. It says at least a 650 watt power supply. I actually have an 850. I did have a 750 before, but I upgraded. I upgraded because I was having some problems, I think, with it. But I'm not too sure. It just about focuses in there. You can see the 2 8-pins on there. You can't, as I found out, you can't use one of those like ones which splits into 2 8-pins. It does not provide enough power in a single wire. You have to use 2. So it does take a hefty amount of power as well. I haven't even overclocked it to kind of see. I'll show my little 3D mark benchmarks at the end of the video as well for you. This actually, you can just see now, is my 1080 Ti, which I took out. You can see it has no backplate on it. I did get a custom backplate which looked quite nice for it, but I hadn't got around to putting it on by the time and now I'm going to be selling it, so doesn't seem the point. But yeah, you can see on the side there, It's got the triple fans. As I said, it's pretty loud though, and that's the little custom backplate as well, which we've got, which goes on it, which looks nice. It's in the case, to be fair. I just hadn't gotten around to fitting it, to be honest. It cost me about 20 quid, something like that. I found it on eBay. It should come with one though, really. If you're buying a 1080 Ti and it doesn't come with a bloody backplate, that's a little bit crappy. You can see it just has, it has 5 inputs. It has the DVI as well, but it has 3 DisplayPort, 1 HDMI. And yeah, the Gigabyte logo lights up, but that's the only bit on it that does light up, and it looks so small compared to the other one, and it's not a small card at all. I think I just kind of like show it up next to it, coming up. Yeah, so you can see like it's around roughly the same length. I kind of turn it around so we've got the right end, a little bit shorter. Luckily fits nicely in my case, but definitely like just on thickness is, you know, nowhere near as thick as that card. That is a chonker of a card. And you can see it just takes an 8-pin and a 6-pin on there as well. So yeah, 1080 Ti really did well, and I recommend you can pick them up second hand. I'm selling this one second hand for like $425, something like that. I'm hoping to get $450. That's a good bargain. Like, that is a really good bargain, because I think you're looking at like first hand, like maybe a 2070, maybe a 2060 Super. In the UK anyway. The UK is always more expensive. Trying to zoom in on the 8 and 6-pin there, but it doesn't work. So a 1080 Ti is vastly faster than those. Yeah, it won't give you the RTX, but my thought on RTX is there's not much point having it with those lower end cards, because it is very intensive. So like, it doesn't feel like there's a huge point in getting like a 2060 RTX 2060. The Super's a decent upgrade, I guess, but it just feels a little bit weird, because are you really going to use ray tracing on a 2060? Don't know. But yeah, so very thick card, but simple to install still. No real problems there. I think just coming up, you'll be able to see it inside the machine after I had installed it. Painless installation, no problems with it. Here you can see it actually kind of lit up and kind of going through the you can see the way the fan there does flash down the bottom. As I said, you're either going to like that or you're going to hate that. Also important, you can see there the old spinning wheel. I took off the tempered glass window, because otherwise it just reflects really badly when you try and record with it. But yeah, it looks nice in there. I need to sort out my wires. I need to get some custom wires. Got a modular power supply, so that's not a problem, but they do look a little bit I think I just need one for my 8-pin the motherboard, the 24-pin motherboard, and then a couple of 8 pins for the graphics card, and that's it really. Although it does annoy me now, I'm looking at it and seeing that cable going over the motherboard next to the over the VRM cover, I think it is. Yeah, it annoys me a little bit there, but yeah. But overall, I'm actually I do have like a pink kind of like fluorescent LEDs in my case at the top, which go down and give it this nice kind of pinky hue, which I really like. Goes well with the white. It's kind of pinky purpley, which I do turn off for the purpose of this video, so you can actually get a good idea of what the of what it looks like. We do go through a few of the cycles. I'll tell you what these cycles are actually. I'll just load up my thing here. So you use this thing called Rgb Fusion, which is gigabytes. You know, everyone has to have their own bloody RGB thing. You end up with about 50,000 of them if you don't all go for the same thing. So yeah, there's like loads of different variations you can actually kind of go through. There's things like static, gradient, pulse, rainbow loop, flash, tricolor, which is the one I keep it on, which kind of like fades it between like a really nice turquoise to blue to pinky purple. It looks really good, I think. Double flash, which kind of does a double flash. wave, color cycle, intelligent, which allows you to keep an eye on your heat levels. It will go like red if it's like quite hot, whatever. Never really understood that, because you know when your graphics card's hot, right? you know, you can hear the fans usually. Claws, which I never worked out what that was. You can turn them off. It's a bit weird when it's all off, though, to be honest with you. There's a color shift, and there's something called dazzling. So there's loads of different options you can play around with on there. Can do different profiles. It's obviously like fully RGB, so you can choose all the different lights. And yeah, it you can get an app as well, which do it. It's just, you know, people will care about that. I'll set it on what I want, and I'll probably never touch it ever again. That's just me. Yeah, that's just me. But you know, it overall, I think it looks really nice. It does look much better than my last card in my case. Performance wise as well, I've noticed it has been running really nicely. As I said, quiet as you like. There's me just turning on the RGB thing, which stops the lights, and then it kind of gets going again. Then we're just going to run through some of the cycles that you will kind of see. I don't know if people genuinely will buy a card based upon how good the RGB is. I could understand if you had two similarly priced cards, you might look at it, but I would say to you guys that there are more important things to worry about than necessarily the RGBs, because you can pick up cheap RGBs, like aftermarket RGB, like, you know, just strips and things like that, which will do a really nice job on your case. So that's like the flashing one you can see there. I don't know why you would want that, but maybe you do. I think that's the one I normally have it on, which is like the gradient one. It looks really nice. Yeah, so there are things to look at rather than RGB, but I guess it does help, doesn't it? You know, going through, having a look, and you know, I've often compared the kind of PC modding scene to like the car modding scene, which is, you know, taking something which everyone has in a way and trying to put your unique spin on it, your own kind of style and substance on it as well, which is cool. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And as I said, like, you can get RGBs like pretty cheap nowadays. You know, some fans which light up, which you don't even have to have a controller for or anything, will not cost much. You know, most fans have them as standard nowadays. Put a couple of fans in, put an RGB strip in, like, jobs are good. And you don't have to have everything on the same, you know, thing, and it's all dancing around. Sometimes that can be a bit too much, I think anyway, but it's obviously personal preference. You will see the card just goes over the white kind of like wire like shield or cover. You can see at the back of the case there. It's not touching that, it's just missing it, which is, I don't know if that would make it wouldn't make a difference if it was touching it, but it's quite nice that it kind of just misses that. But you know, as I said, if you have a small case, which the S340 Elite is not a small case, but you know, it's worth remembering, I guess, the sizes and checking that all out first. I didn't, and I got lucky. I often tend to on that one. But yeah, we'll finish up going through this cycle now, and in just a sec I'll bring up the 3D Mark scores, and I'll just kind of talk you through that and see what we get from there. Hey everyone, so I said just at the end there I was going to just go through my 3D Mark results with the new card. It's also got my ones all the way back from 2016 as well, so we can just talk about that, I guess, as we kind of go through. So ended up with 9292 with my RTX 2080 Super and i7 6700K. I think that's like top 85%, something like that. That's with me not playing with any settings, no overclocks, nothing. You can see the result of my 1080 Ti with the same processor was 8311. So it is nearly 1,000 points more, but I don't think it's that much faster in game, but it was pretty good. You can see you can see the jump from the 1080 I had before to the 1080 Ti was fairly significant. That always felt like quite a good jump to the 1080 Ti. And then we have Firestrike results when I had a 1080, and then you can see the jump from my 970 to a 1080 was not a lot because I actually had a SLI configuration. I don't know if it'll say that actually if I bring up the details. You can see also my processor was an i7. That was before I ran that. Yeah, so you can see, interesting that that score with the 1080 is not good enough for what they would call 4K gaming. But if we look at this one, you can see it kind of obliterates what they think for 4K gaming. Now, I'm actually running this on a 2K monitor, but it's a 2K monitor with 144 Hz refresh rate, and like I've spoken about this before, how I don't feel like we're ready yet for 4K because the higher refresh rate for me is better right now. But obviously people's preferences are whatever they want it to be. So you can see my graphics score is 11167. My CPU score is fairly low. I could overclock my CPU, get a little bit more out of it, but for me, I spoke about this before, it's more about trying to keep the noise level down than trying to eke out that extra 5, 6, 7 frames per second on there. So yeah, they kind of recommend 2 SLI 980s. Interesting. So yeah, better than 82% of all results, which is nice. My RAM is pretty slow actually. I do need to look at that at some point. Well, you don't really need fast RAM for NVIDIA, but yeah, something to look at. I think I was just saying on here, the 970s I was actually running with a 3770K processor. That's my original one back in the day. It's a bloody good processor. SLI was on. We had two 970s and SLI. Oh, those were the days. Honestly, oh, look at that DDR3. Wow. Still had the same Samsung SSD. Yeah. It wasn't a bad processor, 37700K. Yeah. And the 970 was a decent card as well. It really was. I managed to hang around. Did I ever have 980 Ti? No, I didn't. I don't think. I went straight to a 1080 from this when they came out. But they served me well, those 970 Ti's. So I was happy with that. If we look at the kind of like Hall of Fame, I guess, you see how far away we are from the real top guns. So we were what, checking at around 9,000. So Kingpin here has 19,000. These are 4 1080 Ti's with an i9 7980XE processor. Yeah, that's like probably 20 grand's worth, probably liquid nitrogening it as well. Well, in fact, I know he is liquid nitrogening it as well. Yeah, this is when it just gets ridiculous. I don't think a lot of these guys even bother gaming anymore. I think they're just all about trying to get the high score on Time Spike stream. But yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd kind of show those results so you can see that it is an upgrade, but I've yet to decide whether or not it would technically be worth it if it wasn't for the other features it had, which is much quieter performance, and it looks really nice too. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.